Alright. Hey there guys, how are you? Welcome back to another awesome video. And today is, I don't know what to really consider this video, but let me just kind of drop in sort of the idea that, okay, Avengers Endgame doing phenomenal and doing fantastic and doing amazing and awesome with it being with it being in the theaters for so long, and then now it's being out on DVD. With that being said, the fact that it did so well and it got a re-release in theaters, and it did all sorts of things for the re-release, also the deleted scenes being talked about on the internet, um, the DVD, the Blu-ray, also the different content that Endgame's going to have and what it already has, and also the things and just all things Endgame. I figured let's talk about Endgame, not in terms of a movie review. I'll save that for another day. But I figured since that's sort of the big thing right now, deleted scenes, all sorts of extended scenes they put in the re-release, and there's a post-credit scene, they put all sorts of stuff in there and whatnot. And I just figured kind of put my own little thoughts and sort of ideas that some things they could have put in Endgame, like in terms of the extended scenes and end credits sort of thing. I was gonna make this a top 10 video, but I decided, you know what, let me just kind of have this be a video where I just kind of discuss sort of what I think could have been an Endgame. Not that anything's wrong with Endgame, not at all. I don't think there's really anything I could depict badly. I still love the movie. It's probably one of my favorite movies of this year. I think it's hard to say, but it's definitely going to be one of the best Marvel movies or best MCU movies like going forward. So I figured why not talk about something Avengers related. I've got an Avengers shirt on. I figured for something this fitting, I've got stuff here. Sonic's here because why not? Pull them out for no reason. Damn it. I'm leaving that in. I'm leaving that in just because. You stay there because Sonic won't stay there. So Sonic's here. I don't know why, but Sonic's here. So, I was gonna make this a top 10 thing, but I was like, you know what? Let me just kind of just go through this sort of thing and just kind of discuss some of the ideas that maybe some things that maybe they could have put in Endgame in terms of the re-release. In terms of the re-release, because people are now like nitpicking and criticizing the re-releases and like the re-release with like the extended scenes and what we kind of got. And even with what we got in the first place, people were kind of like a bit like, really? We didn't get an end credit scene. We didn't get any of this, that, this, that, this. It's kind of a bit like, not, I don't know if it's selfish or I don't know how to put it, but I guess that's people's opinions out there saying that, hey, that's upsetting. We didn't get an end credit scene or a post credit scene during Endgame. I honestly think it was fine the way it is because it definitely said it's basically saying, look, let's just, even though this isn't the end of the MCU, this is the end of the saga. So let's kind of not show anything for the next phase and wait until like maybe Black Widow or the Eternals or whatever movie's coming out in 2020 to say, hey, here's our credit scene teasing our next villain, our next big bad, our next, who knows, our next Thanos, basically. So here are basically my ideas that I wanted to put out on you. I want to make a video of this for a while, but I was unable to make this video before the re-release because I didn't start my channel at the time. But now that I've started my channel, let me at least do this now rather than doing it where it's like it's irrelevant basically. So these are just like thoughts, ideas that I think that could have been in the re-release or maybe in the in like maybe deleted scenes, or heck, if Endgame really wants to, they could do a like extended cut or a different cut of the movie as a different like DVD or Blu-ray or whatever it is. They can make it a different cut to the movie and have this stuff. Who knows? I'm not sure, but these are just some little things I figured talk about with Endgame, with Marvel, with stuff like that. So let's go into like I have like a small little notes of things that I had in mind. So let's just talk about that and then just be on our merry way, I guess. But so I'm gonna talk about the first thing I'm gonna talk about is extended scenes that could have been possible in the movie. So first thing that could have been possible is I want to say, let's go down from let's go from bottom to top. How did Valkyrie survive? So one thing that Endgame and Infinity War kind of was a bit confusing was that Marvel said at one point that Valkyrie is kind of dead. This character's dead. That character's dead because of Thanos and stuff like that and everything. And we were kind of like, okay, so there goes that. But yet, at towards the end of Endgame, the whole fight, the whole full on throttle battle sequence that we got, Valkyrie was in the shot for a few of those shots. And one thing I will probably let this is something I'll probably let slide, but if you really think about it, how did this chick survive a little bit? Because she wasn't there when Thanos invaded Thor's ship when that whole thing happened in Infinity War. And obviously, if you guys can tell, I'm going to probably spoil a few things about Endgame and Infinity War. And if I do, and if you haven't seen anything, I'm sorry. Honestly, I'm the disclaimer. If I spoil anything for you guys, I am sorry. And if you guys do want to, if you guys are sort of a little bit cautious about spoilers, then just pause this video. See if you could check out one of the movies, check out both Infinity War, check out Endgame, definitely worth seeing, and then come back here. But anyways, back to what I was saying. So we saw all the Asgardians that were on that ship destroyed by Thanos. And the only, obviously, few people we saw Thor that was still alive, we saw Loki meet his demise and his sacrifice, and we saw Heimdall and Hulk, because Heimdall sent Hulk down back to Earth through the Bifrost. But whatever happened to Valkyrie during this whole thing? Did she get snapped? Did she not? I don't know if there's a technicality around it, but they could have maybe had something where Valkyrie's like, hey, what's going on, Thor? And Thor's like, wait a minute, weren't you dead? And then she's like, no. I somehow survived, or who knows? I foresee the futures. I don't know what they could have done. By the way, I have these. I'm gonna call these by titles. So, Gamora, dead or alive? So we already know in Infinity War Gamora is dead, but we saw in Endgame her past self travel to the future with her obviously past Thanos and then past Nebula. But one thing we didn't see sort of happen was Gamora. Did she fade out from existence, or is she still in our timeline? Is that past Gamora still in our future, or is she long gone? Because we don't see a trace of her after the whole fight, after the battle, whatever the battle should be called. The battle of, I don't know, the battle of the quantum realm. I don't know what you want to call that sort of fight, that whole everyone against Thanos. Everyone's here versus Thanos. I don't know. Kind of like how the Avengers, that whole thing that happened with Loki and the Chitauri, that's called the Battle of New York. The whole thing with Ultron, that was just called the Battle of Sokovia. What is this considered? This battle, Thanos, the Black Order, and those guys against all the Avengers. What would you call that? But whatever that's called. So we see Gamora basically just kind of long gone away from the sort of scene at one point, and we never know what actually happens to her. And there's even a possibility when we see the Guardians, Star-Lord still looking for Gamora. So is there a possibility that this Gamora, past Gamora, still lives, and it kind of creates a paradox? Who knows what happens? Who knows what's going to happen with this movie, and who knows what's going to happen with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I'm still stoked about it either way going forward, but it seems like that could be a possibility that they could answer, like, hey, maybe is she out there? Maybe she's not. Who knows? Thor and Thor. There was literally going to be a deleted scene where Thor, like future Thor, like big old Big Lebowski, chubby, fat Thor would have traveled to Asgard during the whole thing with Malekith and the ether and that whole weirdness. And he would have encountered his past self. And I get why they probably wouldn't want to do that for many reasons, but that kind of would have been funny. Have younger Thor be like, I'm fat and just I let myself go for a god of thunder? Are you kidding me, man? I don't know. There was definitely funny material there and potential too. And I'm pretty sure that was going to be a deleted scene from Endgame, but obviously they haven't dropped anything. But it's obviously Marvel said this is what we had in mind, this was what we cut out, and then this was something that could have been really cool. Not that it's not that the movie itself isn't. It's not horrible. I'm not saying Endgame. This is also another disclaimer. I'm not saying Endgame was bad or anything. This is just little stuff that for the extended scenes or even post credits they could have done, which you could have, if they added it, that's fine. If they didn't, no big deal. I'm just kind of stating my sort of like thoughts and my little thing on what they could have done, and I can still appreciate the film for what it is, no matter what happens. So that's that. Captain America and Vormir. Now we know that Captain America at the end of the movie returns all the Infinity Stones through the different timelines, making sure that time is still in this constant like wind of, I don't know however the ancient one described it, but like in this sort of loop of gears or something metaphorical. But one thing that could have been a bit specific with this scene is how would have Captain America's reaction been if he went to Vormir? We know he went to all these different spots, but what if we got an actual reaction of what happened during Vormir? Because why I point this out is because the sort of like stone keeper or whatever he's called, the soul keeper, stone keeper, whatever his title was called, we see in Infinity War and in Endgame that it was the returning villain, Red Skull. Now kind of completing the idea that Red Skull hasn't been dead all these years and he's been in space for eons upon eons upon eons. So what would have that been like? Would Captain America have recognized Red Skull, or would Red Skull have recognized Captain America? Would there have been a fight? Maybe would there have not been a fight? Could this be a tease at Red Skull coming back as like Cosmic Skull or Iron Skull or something along those lines? Who knows? But it kind of would have been interesting to see the reaction and interactions of those two after so many years of the two of them thinking we're both dead. Cap thinking he's dead, Red Skull thinking Cap's dead. The Defenders. Now I know this is a bit iffy with Netflix saying if their shows are canon or not. They might say, it sounds like they're saying they aren't, because now we have Mahershala Ali cast as Blade, and he was Cottonmouth, the villain Cottonmouth in Luke Cage. So there's definitely going to be a little iffy there. But if those shows were canon within the MCU, it would be kind of cool to see them show up at Endgame just as like a cameo at least. We see them just all of a sudden take down Chitauri and the whatever was there, Black Order and all of Thanos' fleet. So that would have been interesting, just to be like, hey, they're here too. Because it seemed like during that whole fight sequence, everyone got their perfect amount of screen time, and everyone put in their all for each scene that they did and everything. But at the same time, it did feel like bits and cameos, like, hey, we got to see Spider-Man again. Hey, there's Black Panther. Look, there's Valkyrie. Look there's these chicks doing stuff. There's those guys doing things. Look at that. That's pretty cool. So I think it would be kind of interesting during the fight sequence. Also, you just show the Defenders, or you show like with like Wong or something like that. It would be kind of interesting, and plus to have them say, this would be them saying, hey, they do exist in the MCU, so that could have been promising. This next one's gonna be just a fun joke, and that's John Wick. John Wick. This is gonna be bad, but you know what? Why not? So seeing how Keanu Reeves is the talk about is the Keanu Sans, the Reeves Sans, whatever it is, the Keanu Sans right now with him not only being doing John Wick 3 this year, showing up and showing up at E3 for Cyberpunk 2077, but Keanu Reeves just doing all sorts of Keanu Reeves stuff and whatnot, and saying, "Hey, I might show up in the Marvel universe. Hey, I could maybe do something DC." Whatever the case is, being thrown out things like that, and casting him, basically saying now everyone in the internet's breaking, saying we got to see more Keanu Reeves in the MCU and the DC extended universe and all these other things. So, why not just have John Wick in the MCU? Because literally you could do something kind of funny, and there's the joke, there's the meme that Thanos and Doctor Strange, Thanos is looking for the one of the stones, and Doctor Strange's like, I put it in a dog. Thanos destroys the dog and rips his intestines and everything. John Wick comes in and goes, "Where's my dog?" And then Thanos is just like sweating, just a whole drench of sweat on his face, like, "Oh shit, I just blew up his dog." And there's been that, and there's a poster, fan made poster out there of Avenge the Fallen, but it's John Wick's dog and John Wick. So there is something cool there, and there's something funny, and plus I love the idea that there is a poster and a fan made picture of John Wick wearing the Quantum Realm suit. So it would be definitely different if you add John Wick to it, but I don't know. This is just something silly, something stupid, but why not? Future Morgan. So this was an actual deleted scene where we saw Morgan Stark, little Morgan Stark, with her little cute. She found the Iron Man rescue helmet on and everything, and she's like a really smart kid for someone. I'm gonna say she's maybe 7, maybe even younger. I don't know, but she's a genius. And knowing that she's Tony Stark's daughter, she is even more of a genius. So we were gonna see a sequence at one point, and this was gonna be a deleted scene, and this kind of I forgot what happened with this whole thing, but we were gonna see. I think it was gonna be a dream sequence, or if it was gonna be a sequence kind of like Thanos had when he got the Soul Stone, and he saw Gamora as a little girl. I think it was going to be this same situation, but for Tony Stark, where there was going to be something where Tony Stark would basically see his daughter now fully grown up. So there was going to be that sort of situation. Maybe it would have had to do with the fact. Maybe it would have had to do with the fact that because the quantum realm, you're stuck in there for a while, or you use it for so many times. Like that whole situation, Ant-Man. He was in there for like 5 minutes or 5 hours. He was there for like 5 months, maybe 5 years. So it's a 5-year gap. So now people are older than they are. So that's why Ant-Man's daughter, Scott Lang's daughter, was a lot older than he remembered. So I think it's gonna be something like that with Tony Stark, where he would have saw his daughter a lot more older, maybe being Iron Girl or Iron something. But they did have an actress in mind for who this would have been. They had not the best show to pick, but they had the actress for 13 Reasons Why on Netflix. They were looking at her, saying, you know what, let's bring her to the sort of the big screen. And I saw where they were at in terms of like, they're like, okay, we see her sort of like where their eye was on her. But in terms of that show, I don't know if that'd be the good route to go, but I guess this would have been interesting. So we don't know. More of Captain Marvel. Why didn't we see more of Captain Marvel? I think I've said this before, and I'll say it again. There's been very little for me that says about Captain Marvel in this MCU that says she's powerful enough to fight Thanos and just punch him in the face, and then down goes Thanos, or blows up his head, or just rips him in half, or something that shows, whoa, Captain Marvel actually is more powerful than we expected. Especially when we've learned that Thanos is a powerful being and one of the most powerful beings in the universe. So when we see Captain Marvel, Sure, she gives him a good punch here and there, gives a good knock, and then obviously she's got that force field, which was kind of like he punches through it with the gauntlet on. He's like, that's impossible, but breaks through it easily and just throws her down. It's like, geez, dude. So why don't we kind of showcase a little bit more with Captain Marvel, and especially with where was she this whole time during this whole process with the quantum realm, with the whole time travel? Where was she during all this? She saved Tony Stark and came back to Earth and literally left afterwards without a freaking basically introduction saying, "Hey, this is who I am," and all this other stuff and whatnot. And even that, and I know they said that there's that she at times was like, I'm busy in space taking care of stuff while you guys are taking care of Earth. What were you doing in space? Like, not I'm saying that's bad, but I would have liked to see what she was doing in space. Was she seeing, making sure planets were not snapped from the entire universe from Thanos? Did all planets of the universe get affected by the snap? Did only half? Did literally half the planets, like you take a planet and it's now half? Or what was she doing? That would have been kind of cool to see as well. And I get it, this, if they added all this stuff, this would have been longer than 3 hours, but still kind of adds a little bit more. And seeing how they were going to re-release it and add extended scenes, you could have extended the idea of maybe seeing what was going on with space, what was going on with Captain Marvel. Were there still the Skrulls? Were half of them gone? Were there still Skrulls? Was she rebuilding Xandar? Was she trying to what was she doing? She didn't really specify on what she was doing. Rather, it was more along the lines of, I'm just in space and I'll talk to you guys later. And that was it. And then she shows up, and then you think to yourself, okay, where was she during the quantum realm? Did she not show up to check on Earth? Did she think, okay, where are the Avengers? I haven't gotten a call from them in ages. Did she try and send messages to them while they were in the quantum realm? Did she show up at one point during while they were time traveling? Did she not? Why didn't she come on this adventure? Just little things that maybe could have maybe been taken care of, especially with how people are and very picky are with how the deleted scenes and the extended cut of Endgame was. Scarlet Witch versus Thanos. I know we got our fight with Scarlet Witch versus Thanos, but I think it would have been interesting to kind of extend it just a bit more. But maybe I'm being a bit too like selfish on that idea, because I did love how much that short brief moment was for something brief and something small. It was really great. How literally how you can feel in Scarlet Witch's emotion that she lost vision, and literally is looking at her with this anger of, you basically took the one thing I cared about, and I'm gonna just basically almost stretch you apart from atoms to atom. So would have been cooler to maybe make it more extensive? Yes, honestly. But let's face it, for the screen time that Elizabeth Olsen had for that scene, I think it was phenomenal. But could have been a little bit longer? Maybe, but most likely it wouldn't have been. But the real fight that people, I'm surprised, aren't really, that aren't like complaining that this didn't happen or bitching about or anything, is where was our Hulk versus Thanos round 2? People really were really picky on the fact that Thanos beat up Hulk. And to be honest, I see where people are. I understand it was kind of a bit too easy, and people are like, well, technically Thanos used the Power Stone when he was fighting him, and it's like, well, he kind of didn't. In my opinion, what it looked like to me was he didn't, because he had the Infinity Gauntlet, and I noticed and if you notice, whenever he had the Infinity Gauntlet on, whenever he used a stone, it would highlight or light up. So during that fight, that first fight in Infinity War, Thanos did not use the stone whatsoever. You would have saw the Power Stone, the purple stone, light up or highlight or glow, showing energy around Thanos duking it out with the Hulk. But this was his natural fighting skill. And I could be wrong, but I think Thanos in the comics and in this universe is a bit stronger than Hulk. But that being said, though, people are obviously bitching about that. About, oh, Hulk got easily beaten. That was pathetic and stuff like that. And I'm not insulting anybody. I'm just making a joke. But if people really wanted, if people were really kind of picky, why didn't we get a round two of this? Especially when the fact that both Thanos and the Hulk have used the Infinity Gauntlet before. Not that it doesn't do anything much about it, but you could have had a fight where maybe at one point Hulk gets the gauntlet and uses it, or maybe Thanos takes the gauntlet right off of him, or there's a duel where literally the two of them see the gauntlet and then they're running at it, and then Hulk maybe lunges at Thanos trying to stop him getting the gauntlet. Something where these two cross paths, and it kind of would be even more funnier. Where Thanos is kind of like, okay, I ran into this witch girl, and now I'm running into a big green giant. What the hell is this? Like, I'm aware of the Avengers, but I don't recall a damn thing that I did to you. But it's probably they probably cut that out, or probably they were gonna do that, but they didn't do that probably because of the fact that we got Smart Hulk, and I don't know if that would affect anything much, but I still think you could have had a round two with the two duking it out. Maybe the two having the gauntlets at the same time. Who knows? That's all the extended scenes I have, and I have a few small like post credits I kind of had in mind. I don't know what the post credits are, like the post credit scene that they put out for the re-release. There was a rumor that it was supposed to be Galactus, but I haven't fully seen it yet. I've seen the extended scenes, and it's mainly just I think it's just Bruce Banner slash Hulk, Smart Hulk, doing a few things around the city for some odd reason. I guess it's okay. I don't understand the point. Number one, number two, the effect, like the CG kind of graphic of the Hulk, kind of looks a little bit weirder. Like he looks a little bit like he's one dimension less. Let's say like the one like the Hulk we see, the Smart Hulk with the always looks full dimensional, like as if he's photorealistic. Let's say that's like 5 dimensions. And the one we see in the extended scene is kind of like down to 3 dimensions or two, and it's kind of like a little bit weird. So I don't know what happened to the mocap, but I get it. Maybe they were like, let's just make this mocap, and they didn't fully finish it. I don't know what it was, but they did that. That seemed okay. If they do have a credit scene with Galactus, I haven't seen it yet, but that would be exciting because now we can see the Fantastic Four finally. Hopefully we'll get them right. I know Marvel will, but hopefully we'll get these guys right. This will be their third time being a movie franchise or being a part of it, or there'll be the second time rebooted, but their third time being made again. But fingers crossed, we could trust Marvel, but fingers crossed. But if that's the case, sweet. But in terms of the credit scenes, like I said, if there's no scene with Galactus, I think it would have been cool to maybe bring in a teaser of Galactus. Maybe you don't necessarily see Galactus fully. Maybe you see the Silver Surfer show up because he's a herald of Galactus. Galactus being this big, giant guy that can literally devour a planet. And the joke has been, like in little silly, goofy shows like Superhero Squad, where he's taken a planet and literally bitten into it. But there's more it's more along the lines of I destroy your planet by just punching it or just blasting my hand with my godlike atomic blast, or just devouring whatever abilities. He has a machine that absorbs the planet's energy, and so it connects to him through his armor that he wears. But so they could do something like Galactus. So maybe there could have been, if there's no post credit scene with Galactus, maybe they could have done something. Maybe seeing Silver Surfer show up and be like, say, my herald, I mean not my herald, my what would you call him? My lord, my master, basically, because Silver Surfer's like this servant to Galactus, and he kind of just goes around the universe looking for planets, saying, "Hey, dude, look, I found you a good planet for you to destroy." And that way, if you destroy, so while I do this favor for you, you don't eat my planet and you don't kill me, sort of thing. So maybe you could have maybe we could have saw Silver Surfer. That's another thing we could have saw in a credit scene. Like maybe at one point, We get an alien encounter from Silver Surfer. Like he just crash lands on Earth, kind of maybe after maybe being beat up by Galactus, maybe warning someone like Hulk or Doctor Strange, saying, "Dude, I need to warn you guys that my basically my commander or my like this guy I serve under is gonna destroy your planet." And I don't and I can't do anything about it, what sort of thing. So maybe I could help you, and you can help me. Maybe you could have done something like that. Maybe we could have just saw Galactus in general, and maybe um, I think what would have been really cool to kind of get people hyped, kind of like with the whole the thing they did with Thanos and the Avengers credit scene, first credit scene, post credit scene, end credit scene, is maybe you hear Galactus just say something like the universe will be devoured, and then I'll get fans going like, oh my gosh, Galactus. So something. Let's see. The High Evolutionary. This is a guy that I am not too keen on what his actual story is, but he is a very one of the things that he's known for a little bit is he was responsible for kind of making Rocket Raccoon the sort of experiment that he is, the freak show that he is. Because seeing how Rocket in the Guardians movies has been talked about, how he was experimented on, and there were scientists that basically tormented him and built him together and tore him apart and rebuilt him and all these other things, turning him into this freak show, turning him into this monster a little bit. The High Evolutionary was kind of responsible for that, and maybe this won't be our next Avengers big bad, but maybe this could tease the next villain for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because there could be many ways that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 could go in many routes, whether in terms of the story, whether in terms of antagonists, whether in terms of whoever could show up, actors and actresses, characters, whoever, songs, like the part of the Awesome Mix, anything like that could go in any direction at this point. So maybe at least something. If we don't get the next big Avengers baddie, at least we can kind of get an idea that, hey, this is going to be for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, so this guy's going to be kind of interesting. And he's definitely crazy. And I think this would really hype people a little bit more, seeing how I think there's a rumor that Mark Hamill could be playing the High Evolutionary. So that could definitely get people going. People know who Mark Hamill is, so people are like, oh, he's going to play a villain? This could be cool, so let's see this. So maybe at least a tease for Guardians 3. Deadpool? And I put it in question mark because I don't know if this was actually real, if this was fake, but Ryan Reynolds said something about he was going to be in Endgame, or he's going to be in Deadpool 3, and it's going to be a part of Phase 4, Phase 5, and then Taika Waititi is tied to this sort of thing and whatnot, and there's Deadpool wearing the quantum suit and Ryan Reynolds wearing the quantum suit as well. So I don't know if this was a deleted scene or not, but it sounds like they wanted to put Deadpool in here, and they were kind of like, this could have been hilarious, have Deadpool all of a sudden show up. Like, maybe he doesn't use the quantum realm, maybe he uses the watch from Deadpool 2, the cable watch, time-traveling watch that he had. So maybe at one point he bumps into maybe Captain America, and he's like, I don't know, he points out that, hey, it's Captain America or something. And I know it's going to be a little bit weird because Deadpool is an R-rated franchise, and then this is like I mainly kept as a PG-13 thing. But who knows? Maybe if the only thing I could see that happening if Deadpool ever shows up in an Avengers movie is that he's only allowed one F-bomb per movie. I mean, for each movie. And if he wastes that F-bomb, he can no longer sing the F word. So that would take away some of the funny idea, and that could poke fun at the idea, like maybe he's like, I can only say that one word once. Are you kidding me? This is lazy writing. Who would write such a bullshit thing? I could see that being a joke. Or there's a whole possibility that maybe if he ever shows up in an MCU film, like with the Avengers or with Spider-Man or somebody, he can maybe just go, give me a sec. Trying to get comfy a little bit. But maybe they kind of make him just a bit crazy, like how he is in the comics, like where he's talking to himself and that's it mainly. And then you put him in, let's say, in his Deadpool franchise, and he's swearing and effing and motherfuck and stuff like that, and I don't know. So maybe that could work. I don't know, but it's not gonna probably happen. But it sounds like Taika Waititi might be doing Deadpool 3, so at least we can see that idea of, hey, maybe he could show up in the MCU. So it's not too far gone. The birth of Warlock. So we got Adam Warlock here, and long story short, to sort of paraphrase this guy a little bit, is he's kind of like he was kind of created by these aliens to be like a space Jesus a little bit. So he was basically made to be like a space Jesus, where he's like are basically you are a holy creation of ours, and we want you to do this for us and basically serve the greater good and do like our kind of commands a little bit. But Warlock just wipes out his creators, as with every creation does, is that one way or one point or another, you have that machine, that entity, that being that is created and just wipes out his creators. Like always. It is what it is. So maybe since Volume 2 had the tease of that big golden tomb thing, and then that golden girl chick saying, I shall call this guy Adam, that's Adam Warlock right here. That's Warlock. So he's not going to be a big bad, although he could be because there's Warlock. He basically at one point becomes evil, whether in our universe or in another universe. Whatever the case is, if it's in our universe or in an alternate universe, he basically becomes this being known as the Magus. So basically at one point, somewhere down the line, Warlock does become evil. But like I said, he wouldn't be the next Avengers baddie, but this could, at least if Endgame would have put out a credit scene, and it doesn't have to do with the next big bad, what they could have at least do is maybe have a credit scene for the next MCU film in terms of the cosmic universe, maybe something like Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So if they were to have done that, at least you can maybe tease like, hey, we see Warlock finally come out of his tomb, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is Warlock. And then all of a sudden he's kind of awoken, and then the golden people are like, we want you to kill the Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe he does kill them, maybe he doesn't, maybe he destroys those golden girls because those were the weakest antagonists out of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 villains. Because we had Kurt Russell, we had Taserface, and we had the Golden Girls. So the Golden Girls were the weakest of the bunch. So you could have just get rid of them like that. If Adam wants to, he could literally just go, yeah, I'm just gonna just blast and you're dead. You're all gone. Blows up the entire planet, and that could be it, or something along those lines. But Warlock is pretty powerful, and it would have been exciting to see at least Warlock make an appearance in Endgame or Infinity War. There was a rumor he could have been, but they were like, well, that kind of would be a little bit like a bit almost like at the last minute sort of thing, because they didn't have planned to put him in until the people were asking, oh, would Warlock showed up? Would this guy have showed up? And they're like, oh, well, it would be too much because with Warlock, obviously, it'd be him against Thanos, and it'd be kind of basically just about not necessarily the two of them, but in terms, it'd be more focused on it'd be more focused with Thanos versus Warlock than any of the other Avengers trying to tackle this foe, and it would have been more like OP. It would have been too easy of a fight, because if you throw Warlock in there, there's going to be a chance that our heroes would have won. But Marvel's like, you know what? Let's save Warlock for Volume 3. Let's not have him be teased whatsoever in Infinity War and Endgame, because we want our heroes to kind of have this downfall from the biggest baddie that we've had in the history of the MCU. But at least a tease for Volume 3. Something for Volume 3. We have not got anything for Volume 3. And obviously we're not going to get a trailer anytime soon, because they bumped it from, I think it's like now going to be 2020, or now it's going to be 2021. So who knows when we'll see Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Maybe even after Phase 4. We'll probably see it in Phase 5, which is going to be insane. But at least an idea of like, hey, this is what to expect for Phase 4, maybe Phase 5. So, Birth of Warlock. Doctor Strange may be seeking out assistance. So maybe Doctor Strange, what I mean by that is maybe there's been an idea, hypothesis, or theory that Doctor Strange, maybe because there's the multiverse through Doctor Strange and through that realm, maybe there's a multiverse where we see the X-Men or the Fantastic Four, and that's where maybe Doctor Strange could find these guys, because the thing with the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, if you bring them in now, you kind of think to yourself, how long have these guys been around? Number one, number two, where have they been all these events? If the Fantastic Four, let's say, have been around since the first Avengers, why didn't they help them during the Battle of New York? Why didn't they help them during Infinity War? Why didn't they aid their assistance during Sokovia, during Civil War, during any of these events whatsoever? So to kind of have maybe Doctor Strange pull out, like, just all of a sudden start pulling like a portal or dimension, and he kind of goes, look, and this could maybe play into the multiverse of madness with Doctor Strange being the Doctor Strange sequel. He can also maybe just, as a credit scene, he just pulls out a portal and he just and all of a sudden walks in, comes in maybe Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and he's like, look, man, I need assistance from you. I know your world is kind of in danger right now, but ours could be in danger too from many infinite threats out there. Teasing maybe maybe Galactus. Maybe if we bring the Fantastic Four, that could be a foreshadow of maybe a bigger infinite threat being Doctor Doom. Also, the crazy things like that. Maybe the Skrulls showing up. Maybe there's something that Doctor Strange has foreseen, seeing how he was able to look into the future. There was many things that he could foresee. And maybe one of the things he foresees is the different threats that could show up in our world, and maybe it takes more than one Earth to stop it, and you need maybe 2 Earths, maybe 3. But it's a what if idea. The Eternals. I think it could have. I know very little with the Eternals, so I know it wouldn't make any sense to have a post-credit scene for the Eternals, because this is like going to be pre-Avengers, pre-Guardians of the Galaxy, pre-everything sort of thing. Because apparently there's going to be like a younger Thanos as a, I don't know, a cameo or something, but something explaining the Eternals, because I know very jack about these guys. I know some things about them, but not a lot to say, oh yeah, I'm excited for Eternals. Give me something, give us people that, whether we're comic fans or not, who don't know the Eternals, kind of say, hey, here's an idea of what the Eternals will be, and now you guys will be excited. Something. I don't know, to be honest, at this point. It would have been nice, but it wouldn't have worked. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But let's move on. We got 3 more to go. So, in memory of Stanley, this doesn't have to necessarily be a post-credit scene, but it would have been, I think, it'd be nice if they did a memorial for Stan Lee. And they already did a tribute for him, and I love that tribute so much, because, those who don't know, Stan Lee died last year sometime when, no, was it? No, he died. Yeah, he died in 2018 or sometime in 2019. And he died at like 95, I think it was. I don't remember at the moment. But he's the man that's always appeared in the Marvel comics. Not in Marvel comics, and always in the Marvel movies. He's always made those cameos and everything. He was the old guy hitting on the hot girl from Guardians of the Galaxy. He was the FedEx guy from Civil War. He was the security guard in Captain America. He was the guy talking shit about the Avengers when he says superheroes in New York. Give me a break. Let me think. What other cameos would people know him from? He was a mailman in the Hulk. He was Reed Richards' mailman in Fantastic Four. He was the bus driver in Infinity War. He was the cranky old man telling Spider-Man, "Hey, get out of here, you punk!" Many memorable cameos. Many memorable cameos by this guy. And the fact that he was responsible for the Marvel comics, and the fact that he was responsible for Marvel, is the best thing in the world. And it was a really hard situation when everyone found out, and especially for me. I'm a big Marvel fan, and don't get me wrong, I love Marvel and DC. I may seem to talk about Marvel a lot more, but I definitely down the line we're going to talk a lot more about DC. I promise you that. I guarantee you that. I got a lot more on DC to talk about, as much as Marvel, if not more. Who knows? Point is that I love these things both equally. I love comics. I love those comics and those franchises both equally. Well, not those franchises exactly, but I do appreciate both the DC comics and the Marvel comics, and how much they've been a part of my childhood a little bit. I remember reading comics not really young, but not really old, but still I felt like there's been many things that I associate with these characters I grew up with. Their cartoons, their movies, their comics, their video games, all the merchandise, just everything. And I'm just glad I was able to be. And one thing with Stan Lee is I was happy to get involved in something like this and to be a part of sort of something this phenomenal, something this big of a franchise like Marvel has been. How far we've come in the world with this in terms of Marvel, and the tribute was just amazing. And we will all miss you, Stan Lee. Excelsior, true believers and Marvelites. But yeah, as I always like to say sometimes whenever I think about this, is I love quoting this. So this is not my thing, this is not my quote, but I love quoting this. There are heroes and there are legends. Heroes will be remembered, but legends never die. Stan Lee was a legend, and this guy will live on, and his legacy will keep living on no matter what. So I'm glad that although I am saying that they could have put in a memory of Stan Lee, they already did. So I just feel like pointing that out there and just saying the fact that I love the fact that they did this tribute and we were able to get this tribute in Endgame for him, especially the fact that he passed away during Endgame, and I think his last cameo had to been Endgame, because I don't think he had a cameo in Far From Home, which kind of was a little bit upsetting, because that could have been his last cameo, and especially it would have been a lot more a lot really like deep, because one of his first characters was Spider-Man, so, and that's always been his big character ever since. He's always been associated with Marvel, but that was one of the characters he first created, and that was his character, Spider-Man. So maybe he wasn't Far From Home. Maybe I missed something. If I did, let me know. But I think that would have been fantastic. But I'm glad we got to have this. We have this memorial, this tribute for him in the movie. Since we're going down a path of tearjerkers, shawarma one last time. I think this would have been a beautiful send off if maybe at one point we kind of had a scene where it doesn't have to be all the Avengers, like from the first main five to the next generation, but I think it would have been really kind of interesting to kind of have everybody sit down and just hang out again, just talk, and then sit there, eat shawarma. Maybe if they really want to not shoehorn, but really push down on your throat of this whole cheeseburgers. I kind of get where the cheeseburger thing comes from, but it's not as good as the shawarma idea. But the idea of like maybe everybody sits down, whether everyone's still around or not, whether this was a last big hoorah. Basically, it doesn't have to be a big sit down where they're eating shawarma, but they're basically everyone together for the last time. And they had a deleted scene with everyone basically on their knees and then sort of kind of coming to Tony Stark after his last breath and him dying and everything, and everyone just kind of surrounding him, circling him, doing this whole big ceremony for him, and then having the funeral afterwards. And that's the biggest thing that people are really kind of really pissed about. And that's why I kept saying how people were being as a joke, people being a little bit. I'm saying this as a joke. People being a little bit bitchy, be a little bit picky that, oh, we got this extended scene, but we didn't get this. You know, we got this extended scene, but we didn't get this as an extended scene. And honestly, I see where people are at. But at least it may not be in the re-release, it may not be an extended edition, but at least we have that deleted scene saying that, oh my gosh, this happened, and we could say that the Avengers all sort of had like a big old like a big old salute to one of their biggest leaders, kind of like a military style sort of thing, like a big sort of funeral like that. Then having a ceremony where everybody just kind of sitting there, letting him kind of seeing the arc reactor float off with the "I love you 3000" and everything sort of thing. So there's that whole thing. But I don't remember who said it in particular, but I know I saw someone say something about maybe they could have, maybe whether Tony was there for the moment or not, maybe after that funeral, maybe they could have went over, had shawarma, maybe had the cheeseburgers or something. So nice little more sentiment, nice little more tear jerkers, especially how tear jerking that movie was and how tear jerking Infinity War was, and definitely to give it a nice big send off, especially with the ending being everyone signing off. The main five specifically signing off. Sure, we're gonna see ScarJo again. We're gonna see Mark Ruffalo. We're gonna see Jeremy Renner and everything. We might see Chris Hemsworth. We're gonna see him because of Thor: Love and Thunder. I still can't take that title seriously. I don't know why. I just can't take that title seriously. Love and Thunder. But whatever the case is, nonetheless, the point was that these five are signing off, and include specifically Rob Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, this being supposedly their last movie, and in terms of their contract and for their characters. So this would have been a nice, good close the book. But as much as it would be great to go off on a nice send off for this video, one last thing is to tie it back to Doctor Strange with him saying, I know of infinite threats out there in the world. One infinite threat that we could possibly see, not only just Galactus, not just Doctor Doom, but there could be a mystic threat brewing up. Maybe Nightmare, who is supposedly going to be the Multiverse of Madness's villain, who's kind of like known for he's kind of like Freddy Krueger a little bit. He'll basically kind of go after you in your dreams, but he's a lot more like a sorcerer. But he's very more creepier. He's darker. He's definitely a lot more scarier, especially with how crazy the multiverse is and how the dream realm can be, and how your dreams are basically, when you're in your dreams, a lot of stuff is bended to reality and everything is stretched and really gets intensified and really stretches and expands and everything like that. But in terms of mystic threats, I think the biggest mystic threat that we could have been teased was the dark dimensional demon known as Dormammu. You know, that big guy that Doctor Strange kept saying the whole Dormammu, I come to bargain. And that was a good joke and everything. And that was a clever thing to do. But I don't think that will be the last we'll see of Dormammu, because he's really powerful. He's definitely a big, huge baddie. Like in terms of his size and scale, he's literally giant. So think of him like probably bigger, if not probably bigger than a house. If not, I'd say in seriousness, he's probably bigger, if not the same size, if not bigger than Godzilla. That's how huge Dormammu is. Then again, that's how big Galactus is. But still, he's bigger than Godzilla, and he's probably the same height, if not smaller than Galactus, because Galactus is also a giant too. But Dormammu is kind of like definitely bigger than Godzilla. I'll say that. So to have this guy enter our universe and now just really cause hell and all sorts of crazy shit to happen in our universe could be our next big Avengers bad. Maybe taking a break from the cosmic universe with having the Chitauri and having Thanos and everything. Although it would be nice to kind of see Magus as the big bad for the next Avengers film, or maybe even the Beyonder, or even Kang the Conqueror. Even the Skrulls, I'll take the Skrulls. But if we're gonna take a break from the cosmic world, take a break from space, and kind of go from the magical side of things with hell and with the dimensions and everything, let's see Dormammu. That'd be pretty cool. And those are wait, actually one more. I just remembered, because there's a big rumor that we could have seen this being known as the Living Tribunal, because supposedly for the Multiverse of Madness, we're going to see this entity show up. And basically, the Living Tribunal is kind of like this godlike being, this titan of a entity that kind of he has like four different faces, kind of a way, like one side here, one side here, one side here, one side here, and he kind of foresees a lot of different events. And one in particular event that he foresaw was at one point in the comics, Adam Warlock over here got a hold of the Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah, right. Crazy, you know? Like, oh my gosh, really? This dude here, Space Jesus, got a hold of the Infinity Gauntlet? Whoa. I'm being serious when I say crazy, right? So, he had the Infinity Gauntlet before Thanos, or he had it after Thanos. But at one point, this being, known as the Living Tribunal, said, nah, you can't, basically I'm paraphrasing for this, but he's like, no, you're not supposed to have that. And he's like, Warlock's like, what? And Living Tribunal's like, look, dude, you can't have that because the future and the multiverse is going to get screwed up because of that. And then foreshadowing Magus over here, an eviler version of Warlock. So he's like saying, look, you need to give this back. You need to give that back to us so that way you don't get that and that doesn't fall in the wrong hands. So maybe that could be maybe the Living Tribunal playing a part in the next phase of the MCU, even after Phase 4. Could have been something, but these are all long gone, honestly. I just figured I'd put even though the re-release of Endgame already happened, and the deleted scenes and the different cuts of it have already been dropped and released and leaked and everything and stuff like that. And this is probably not really pointless, but I just figured I'd put my own little thoughts and kind of put my own little stuff together of like what I would have liked to maybe see in these sort of the re-release, the extended cuts, post credits, all sorts of things like that. Nonetheless, I still think I loved Endgame as I still love Endgame for how much it did and impact the whole MCU and capping up not just almost the entire franchise, but capping up a phenomenal saga of what was the Infinity Saga. So let me know in the comments if there was anything that you guys want to see in Endgame. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions down below. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please smash the like button. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I do awesome videos every day for every week. On top of that, make sure you ring that bell to be notified if I do new videos, new content, stuff like that, and whatnot. Seeing how I do tend to talk about Marvel a lot more, I will see to it to maybe talk a little bit more about DC things, because I do like both Marvel and DC equally. I don't prefer one over the other. Sure, I will say this: Marvel definitely has a better consistency of their cinematic universe. DC is still kind of struggling a bit. They got some things right, but some things wrong. They're still struggling here with what's going on. But at least Marvel has some of the consistency a little bit. They kind of they're at over 22 movies. DC is at like 7, I think. So I will give them credit, but in the end, I do like both Marvel and DC equally. So maybe one day I'll start talking more about DC content. We'll see. I don't have anything else in mind what to do next for terms of videos, but tomorrow I'm gonna be heading over to Jaden T over at Jaden T Incorporated to discuss a few things on Smash Bros. Maybe get back into gaming. In terms of me getting into gaming, I will do gaming still, but it might take a little bit longer, just a small tad bit longer. We'll still do our streams. We'll still do Smash Bros over there and stuff like that, but it might take a bit to kind of have stuff on my channel. We shall see. Who knows? Maybe Jaden can help me out with it. Maybe I'll figure out something. Who knows? Point is that it'll be a little while until you see something gaming related. Maybe not on my channel, unless I start putting the stuff that I've done on Jaden's channel over here. But other than that, I don't see anything happening anytime soon just yet. But let me know what you guys want to see next. As always, leave your suggestions, leave your thoughts, your comments down below and everything, whether it's a request in terms of gaming, a review, a top 10 video, you want me, we could do Q&As, I could do live streams, I could do all sorts of things, because ironically, I do shoot these videos a lot, quite extensively, and quite really lengthy for these videos. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.